Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to another turkey pattern test, and I've got another pretty highly requested combination out here today, and I think we're going to see some pretty decent looking results out of it for sure. So as for the load we've brought out here today are some of these, the Winchester Longbeard XR loads. These are the 12 gauge 3-inch 1050 feet per second ounce and 7/8 of the 6s. So definitely a popular load and one that we know really does perform well. And as for the setup we're going to be running today, I've brought my Remington 1187 back out again. However, I threw in this choke. This is the Carlson's Longbeard XR 660 constriction turkey choke. We tested it a little while ago with the 5s and it looked pretty good so far. So now let's run the 6s through it and see what it does with those. Being a 660 constriction, I think we're going to see some pretty good looking results here. And I know a number of you guys use this setup as well, or at least have tested it and found good results as well. So I'm really looking forward to see what it might actually give us. Now as for the test today, it's going to be the same as usual, which is the turkey target set up at 40 yards. I also have the chronograph, so we'll see what kind of speed we're getting. So let's take you guys over and get you a view of the target. I'll head up to 40 yards and take the shot. We'll look at our chrono number real quick, and then we'll go see how they performed. I've got some pretty high hopes for how this is going to look. So let's head over here and shoot it and see what it can actually do. Alright, so that round gave us 12-12 through the chronograph. Remember, the box was calling for 1050, so we're definitely above the box claimed velocity. But that's not at all unusual for what we've seen out of this 1187 with that little bit longer field barrel. We've absolutely seen right in and around 1200 or so feet per second, I believe, every time we've ever shot a Longbeard load through that gun. So nothing out of the ordinary here, but how did it actually perform down at 40 yards? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is a little bit surprising, I guess. Now, we do have a dead turkey. There is one in the brain and 3 or 4 more down the spine there. But we were a little bit to the left with our core area, which is not typically what we see out of that shotgun, and that's not what happened the last time we shot that choke either. So that's a little bit surprising. But if we back up here and look at our full pattern, I mean, that thing looks to me like it blew wide open here, which is not typically what we see out of that shell. Even the core area is a little bit splotchy, I guess you could call it. But the amount of just flyers and shot that's just blown all around the edges of the paper there is just not what we typically see out of that Longbeard shell. Yes, it is the 6s, so we do see a couple flyers pretty much all the time, but nothing even close to that. Now, is that a turkey killing pattern? Yeah, absolutely, that would do the job for you. But just in comparison to what we know and what we've seen these Longbeards be able to do before, this is not at all close to what kind of performance I would have expected out of that. We've seen better from a 655 and a 665. So is it the choke combination with that shell? Is it just kind of an oddball shell? Something weird happened with that particular round? I really don't know. It's not terrible, I wouldn't say, but it's definitely not anywhere close to what I would have expected out of a load of Longbeard 6s. So I don't know. What do y'all think about that? It's definitely not the worst pattern we've seen, but it might be the worst pattern we've seen with a load of Longbeard 6s. So that was definitely really pretty interesting. But at the end of the day, it would have gotten the job done for you, I suppose. Okay, and here's the wad out of that shell, and it's just your typical Longbeard wad. There's nothing stuck down in there except a little bit of dust from the buffer waxy stuff they use. But, I mean, it looks pretty much perfectly normal. There's nothing really to note here. You have a couple tiny little pinholes up here at the top, but that's not unusual. But, I mean, there's just really nothing to note here that would have thrown it off with the wad getting caught up or anything like that. So I really don't know what went on with this test as to why we saw a little bit of inconsistency compared to what we've normally seen out of these Longbeard loads. But as for the wad, there's really not much to see here. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance? It's clearly good enough to take a bird out to 40 yards. There's no question about that. But it's just a little bit more splotchy and the edges are blown quite a bit more open than what we're typically used to seeing out of those Longbeard 6s. So what do y'all think about it? Is that about the results that you expected or that you've seen out of your testing with it? Or did that kind of surprise you a little bit? And what do you think might happen here? Is it just not a very good choke combination? Did something funny go on with the shell itself? I really don't know. It's definitely not a terrible pattern by any means, and it's far from the worst pattern we've ever seen for a turkey load, but it's definitely not even close to being the best we've seen out of a Longbeard load or a Longbeard 6 load for that matter. So what do y'all think about it? I mean, at the end of the day, it would have been good enough, clearly, but it's just not exactly what I expected to see. But leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'm going to jump back to getting a bunch more testing done for you guys, so stay tuned. We also have an Instagram now, so if you would like to see sneak peeks and updates and things of that nature, that's the place you want to go. I'll leave it linked in the description, but I'm going to hop back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.